I am now here with the man, Tim Kemp.
Hey, mate. How you going?
Good, bro. Good to have you here, dude.
Bro, I'm stoked to be here.
So, for those listening, Scotty can't be here today. He's actually sick. But I have Tim to come talk about what he's up to these days. So, Tim's a longtime friend of mine. He's a photographer. He's a marketer in the digital marketing field and just an all-round top fella.
Oh.
So, yeah, we're here to learn about Tim.
Oh, well, thanks very much, Scotty. I'm pleased to be an honorary Scotty. I might be a Skittim.
Skitter. You can be I can't think of anything clever.
Neither, that was...
I was just like, I got nothing. What you got there, bro? Talk us. You got
man. So,
you're much better with the cameras than I am. So I actually might need to take a course from you, mate. I might
man.
learn about some stuff.
Just my bank account number is 123. Nah,
deposit first, and
I'll send you the invoice after. That's how business does it,
yeah,
right?
Sweet.
No, what I got here, man, is it's my trusty little Fujifilm X-T30. No, I mean, I'm not sponsored. Fuck, it'd be mean to be sponsored. But
sponsor Tim Fuji. Sponsor.
Yes, please.
Money, please.
Please, I'll take photos. I swear. But no, it's kind of like a retro-looking kind of camera. I've chucked a little L plate bracket on so that it just is better in the grip and then fits on a tripod easily.
Yeah.
But the great thing I like about it is it looks like a cool little hipster retro camera. But it's got a digital screen, it's mirrorless, does 4K, and gives really good photos and videos, yet most people think it's like a little film or like a toy one. So a lot of the places where I can kind of get into and take sneaky shots, not dirty shots, but good shots.
What sort of what's your favorite type of shot to take? Like, what's your favorite photos to take? Do you have something you go after normally? Sunrises, sunsets, or is it landscapes?
Oh, there's the crispy golden hour.
The golden hour?
Golden hour, mate. Just, chef's kiss. And whether that's landscape or people or whatever, just it's that time that's an hour after sunrise and an hour before sunset. And that's when, and you notice it typically kind of when you're on a holiday, it's that time when you go for that walks along the beach and everything's just gold. People look fucking mean. That's what you shoot.
Damn. The man knows his times.
He
knows the golden hour.
The golden hour.
No, that's mean. So how long have you had that camera for?
I got this, I think it was second lockdown that we had in New Zealand. Basically, the company had given me a little bit of money to, kind of help with the cost of living. And my cost of living was not going crazy, so I bought a camera.
Fair enough. It also gives you something of, sitting at home all the time, right? If you've got no hobby, nothing to do. It gets you out as well.
That's it.
What were you taking shots off during COVID?
Just everything. That kind of built my passion for just kind of street photography and capturing those candid moments. And that kind of relates all back. The reason why I like photography so much is, and videography as well, but it's just capturing those moments in time that you can look back at. I think that's a lost art. I mean, a lot of people are going for like social media, like clicks and likes and all this, but at the end of the day, I just want to capture that moment so that you can look back on it and be like, oh yeah, and it just brings a wealth of emotions and nostalgia just hits you in the face.
Yeah, it's definitely very different, right? Because I remember you did some shots of us when we went away, and you got some great shots of like us or even like the beach and that, and just even like the colors and that, and it just feels much more special having those like actual taken from like a good quality camera than like a phone. Like the phone is like as amazing as phone technology is and cameras. I mean, it's just insane. Like we can take 4K pictures on our phones. I mean, it's just nuts. But it doesn't feel as sentimental or like I don't know. I know what you mean. There's something about the feeling of it, right?
Well,
it's different.
You're not wrong. And I mean, if you really want to get technical,
let's get technical.
All right, let's delve right in.
Let's do it.
Whoop. So this bad boy actually has a significantly bigger sensor. And so there's types called like APS-C, and there's mirrorless, and then there's medium format, and they're all kind of bigger in terms of the sensors. How much light, which is all the information that they can capture. So on your phones, it's really tiny compared to this, which is a little bit bigger, which is half of it, and then bigger size. So what that means is, although it's capturing 4K or whatever, that's just how big the pixels stretch out. It's not how much data gets captured. And so that's why with a phone, although sometimes you can get really good photos, but that's because there's a there's a lot of factors that make that such a great photo. So it will be the time of the day. So if it's at golden hour, that's the best time for iPhones. It will be how your subject is lit. So if the sun's right there and I'm pointing right at the camera, well, the person who you're taking a photo of in front is just going to become black. But then if you turn the other way, they're just going to be completely whitewashed, like they're just going to be bright. So it's a matter of not only learning about photography if you really want to get into it, but even just people have a natural kind of eye to be like, oh yeah, like half of the face is kind of good. Typically, and it's not a sexist thing, females are generally much better at it. It's because they spend a lot more time at kind of appreciating just how every kind of thing gets contoured compared to a male where you're just like, oh, you're mean.
Yeah. Well, that's a big difference, right? Because like with women, like the focus on appearance, where you can argue positive, negatives of that, but I know what you mean, because then when they take photos, they understand how the shots can be manipulated to maybe capture a certain, I don't know, emotion or look, or how to make their outfit look better in the shot. Us guys, we're fucking terrible. Well, straight guys. The gay guys got that sorted. But as a straight man, I'd say, yeah, I mean, fuck, bro, I'm terrible. I'm not fashionable at all.
No, fair. And you don't even realize that the way you stand and the way you hold yourself in front of the camera makes a significant difference. And that doesn't matter what you are, but typically women are, like, I didn't even know until I really got into the passion that, like, it's a whole thing about, like, they put one leg forward and lean back a little bit and hold their head up. And I was like, I just thought these were like basic bitch poses. I was like, but actually these are things that actually help them slim themselves in one, emphasize more points. If a male learns to do this, typically you find some do. They kind of understand what's their good side, what's not their good side, but they tend to look better in the photos. I mean, whether you care or not, looking good in the
whether
photo
you care
is another factor.
I know there are people who do, but as Kiwi guys, we don't really care about that stuff. It's pretty like, we're pretty just like, oh, it's sweet, all good, take the photo. We don't even really like photos, I think, most of the time. I don't know, we're just not really that sort of, it's not really within our culture. But I do notice when I went to like Asia and that, like guys, when I was in Taiwan, like I noticed people there, even the guys, are very sensitive with the cameras and taking good photos and videos and that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I don't know. We just don't really do that. I mean, there's obviously a select part of society who will do. Like, there'll be guys who do. But yeah, it's just not common, I find, where guys will, like what you explained, will really understand how to get those good shots in a photo or how to pose correctly, or it's out of it, eh? Mate, it's pretty out of it.
It's different, and it's a deeply rooted societal thing rather than just something that's on the surface level. I mean, and that's a whole other topic in itself. Deep diving into New Zealand kind of male culture.
Yeah, jeez. Fuck yeah, that's another whole thing. Yeah. So, as a man who also does photography, you're also a man who's you're in the marketing industry, digital marketing industry, and I want to pick your brain because we're both in the marketing industry. I'm more of a specialist. You're more of like a marketing manager slash GM sort of these days, right?
Mate, I'd love to be GM. No, not.
I thought you were GM by this
Oh,
point,
mate,
bro.
that would be sweet. But I wouldn't have the time for anything. No. So at the moment, I'm still a marketing specialist, digital marketing specialist. But yeah, I've held digital marketing manager roles and marketing manager roles. But I would say, yeah, mate, like there's not really too big of a significant difference between where you're at and where I'm at. And anyone who's kind of wanting to get into the industry, it's just a matter of hard grafting.
Yeah. How did you, because our journeys are different, so how did you get into, you went to university after school and studied business?
Yep.
And marketing?
Yep. Yeah, so I was one of the lucky kind of few, I would say lucky, in the regards that I knew what I wanted to do before I left school. And how I came about that was, I originally wanted to become a vet and then an eye doctor, like a optometrist. There was a whole raft of things that I was exploring. My grades weren't that good for the old biology, so that rules that one out.
Yeah.
Couldn't be a pilot, and there was a lot of money. And then I knew that I liked doing art. Like, I loved art. I did. I took design, I took photography, I took painting, and I was like, oh, well, I need to make money from this. And then...
God, you're so smart to figure that out back then, because I didn't. Because I was like, just to change it on to me, because when I left school, I was like, I can't really do music because there's not much money in it. So I'll go do like audio, which, yes, there's money in it, but it's like it's still very difficult and hard graft. Where, not to say that Mark doing what you did is not hard graft, but you figured out like, I want to do my art or my photography. I need to find out a way to make money off it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have that thought back then.
It was a matter of just Googling. Like, I think that's kind of my job, is just how good can you Google and how can you work Google.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think anyone who's listening and kind of viewing this is if you're unsure, don't put that as a bad thing. I find that I knew straight away, kind of as I went through, but then when I went during university, I was questioning, was this right for me?
Yeah.
And then when I was trying to get my first job, even more so, did I do the right thing? Should I have come a lot? Like, I'm not a big fan of engineering, but a lot of times I was like, shit, I should have just been an engineer. There's so many jobs out there. You get paid really well. It's, all good. But it's one of those ones that you just kind of try and pick something more generic, so it kind of is broad enough, like marketing. And then once you get in it, there's so many facets that you could go in. That's kind of my advice, and that's how I was lucky that I could do that. But some people...
luck, but also hard work. It's not just luck.
Yeah. I'd like to say it
Don't
was
discredit
easy.
yourself too much, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But, it's... and that's credit if you know of Scotty's background. You've done probably one of the hardest things that most people are too afraid to do, to change from, audio and visual, which you are knowledgeable, you knew the industry, you had worked in it, a great experience, to be like, look, actually, I want to try something different, and then completely, take your foot off the pedal, and then go learn a whole new skill, and then go and start a job in it. Like, mate, that is not, like, going on, like, if you're not at uni and you're older than that, where you've actually got a bit of responsibility, like you're flatting or something like that, to do that, that's a risk in itself. But to then actually just go, balls to the wall, let's just do it, mate, mad respect.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, the lucky for me was that we've been on social media and doing some form of social media for a long time. So I guess for me, like, even when I was been playing in bands and lots of gigs and working in the event industry, I was kind of organizing shows, promoting them online, did a bit of like digital, I don't want to call it graphic design, but I was designing posters and stuff, and then promoting on YouTube videos on like Google Ads. I already done a bit of that. And then I was like, well, why don't I make this a job? Like, this is literally a career. I just need to just kind of find the right place to, start. So that was kind of how I thought about it. But I guess I've always had my toes in it in some shape or form. It's not like I'd never. It's like it's like I'd kind of ridden the bike with training wheels.
Yeah.
Basically. So that's how I describe it.
No, that's very accurate.
Because I think like if I like went from like changed career entirely to like I don't know, I wanted to be like a geologist. Like I got no idea.
But it's not impossible.
But it's not impossible.
It's not
but
impossible.
it's like it's entirely different. But yeah, I think it's just like I mean, life's short, right? I think you have to make a decision. At one point, I made a decision. I'm like, I want to do something else, and I have something I can back myself on if I want to. But I can always go back to. But I'm like, this is what I want to be doing, and I'm very like, I need to move forward, which is a blessing and a curse. It is a blessing and a curse. But anyway, bro, back to you. So you have you finished? Because you were doing your masters, right? Are you still
Yep.
in the process?
It's a long journey.
I know it's a long one because I haven't asked you about it in a while.
So I'm in my third to last paper.
Wow.
So this is my last kind of one that's talking about content, and then the last two papers are part A of a project and part B of a project, and then I'm done, which will be nice. I've really enjoyed it. Like for the listeners out there, what I do is the Masters of Business Development at Auckland Uni, completely online course. So I mean, it makes it a little bit easier when it's online. I don't have to go into uni, but it's
Do it in your sort of do it in your own time.
yeah. Well, I wish it was like exams because this is just all. It's good because it's more practical kind of assignments, but it's just a lot of it. But the whole kind of gist about what it is so that you understand how to. I mean, it says it's business development, but I would say it's more just being able to do business, and it's really understanding about what's occurring in the market or what's potentially happening in the world, and then how to identify opportunities from that, and then go through a whole process to evaluate that idea, to producing a solution, to marketing it, and then pushing it out. So it's kind of like a full end-to-end doing, starting up little businesses.
Interesting.
And that's kind of what they want you to do is I mean, these last projects is will be assigned like a client, and then they'll be exploring a new avenue of something. So it could be like, we see that there's a big trend in like AI generated LinkedIn photos.
Yeah.
I just came up that one's on my head, but like that, they might, there's
Yeah.
a big like market for that. And it's like, okay, well, that's a great idea. We're getting feedback from the market that this is kind of coming up. What we need to do is we need to validate the idea and then really work through about building a they call it MVP, so minimal viable product. So something that's really rough and ready, but something that people can be like, oh yeah, that's shit, or no, that's not good, or that's really good. And then you can just keep kind of playing around with it. And then at the end result, you're like, hey, look, here's something that you helped me build and it's suited for you. And that way, the whole time, you know that the customer's actually going to use the product because they've been involved with it and it suits them. So
Damn.
it's a trippy way of thinking,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like it really is, but it's kind of the way of the future, but a lot of businesses don't think like that. A lot of kind of when you go through marketing at uni, they don't really teach you this until you go like think about masters, or you're lucky enough to get into a company that does do that. But that's how like you kind of got to be thinking these days. Is just, I mean, you're not competing against just Jim down the road anymore.
No.
Jim down the road, Jane over in bloody China, Jim in UK.
Yeah, well, everything's so connected, and like everyone's so like you interact on such a huge level, and it's so easy to like for consumers or people to find like a better product or something cheaper. Well, even more so than previously, which I think means like people really need to pay attention to what you've just said, like to that like those shift in the market, to the trends and world events. I mean, obviously we don't talk about COVID. Jesus, we've been talking about it for so long, it's exhausting. But like even like let's say in New Zealand we've had the floods this year. Again, that is as bad as this sounds, that's also opportunity. that's opportunity to do a lot of things within it. Whether it be, I don't know, top of my head, like, I don't know, offering, like maybe you're a company that sells like blankets or something, and it's just random ads, but like you can then like, oh, well, we've got these specially made for people who've been harmed by the flood. I don't know, like random thing like that, but it's like, it's a weird example, but my point is like, yeah, I'm doing what you're saying, identifying trends or changes and real world events. And right now we're in a recession. Apparently, it's been fully confirmed. I think it's been confirmed now, like properly, even though we've been saying it for like years, but like a couple of years. But now it's like we are in one now. But basically, pop the champagne. Yeah, woohoo! We're out of money. Yeah. But the billionaires have more money. What's happening here? But it's like, this is a time when people also aren't spending. So it's like, if you're a business, you need to, especially if you're a local business or a relatively new business, it's like, it's tough. It's hard. You have to fucking make some pretty like big decisions of like, well, you can only go forward. And if you're not making money, it's like, well, that's why so many have crashed. I think one of the biggest and the things I've noticed is like brick and mortar, like going to the shops. I mean, if anyone who is in Auckland in New Zealand, like you go Queen Street, that used to be the most bustling street in the country. It hasn't been bustling for years. And arguably you can say that's not just because of obviously COVID, but it's like people now work from home. People now are so used to being online, and you can find so many great products or services. You don't even need to go out to the shop. Even more so. It's been around for a while, but I think obviously everyone being inside and not having the option to go outside, this has pushed the digital services and that even more. And back to your point of like market trends, it's like if you're not really focusing really hard on your digital or focusing really hard on your website, or you're still trying to focus too much on your bricks and mortar, like you're going to miss out and you're going to struggle. Yeah.
You're not wrong. I'm going to add to that. Like, I'm going to say...
please do.
Take your traditional business that you kind of think, like, prior to COVID. I mean, the trends were still going this way, but COVID...
Accelerated
it. And then the AI came in. And it has been around for a long time, but ever since ChatGPT, like, publicly released, because it became free and so accessible, it's done a whole nother revolution kind of in the way of business. But the way you think about business now is that, you're typically, okay, I go into a shop, I want this, I buy it, sweet, done, I'm done with it. That whole model, throw it out the window, man.
Gone.
That's stupid. Like, any Joe Bog can do that if they've got enough money. It's really thinking about the way you do business is different. So you can get, if you wanted to do a different experience, you can get people into stores, but you've got to think of a different way. Like, when you go back into it, and this gets quite meta, right? Like, this gets deep, but it's all about psychology. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a marketer, but I can say I'm pretty much a psychologist, because I would find that from the stats I can find about most people online, anonymized and into certain groups. Thanks, GA, for. But
got an audience segment.
But you can find out what's going to work for them best. Say a perfect example is the different way that you have a shop of an Apple store versus something like a JB Hi-Fi, right? You go into JB Hi-Fi, you just smashed with all this like yellow, and it's just like shits everywhere, and you're like, like I'm looking for the sale because it's just really like, it's not a nice experience. It's not.
It's very loud marketing.
That's it, and it's just like old mates bloody playing on the boombox on the wall, and it's just like But then if you go into an Apple store, I mean, we clearly don't have any in New Zealand, but you'll see that what they do is their business.
Don't we have one in Newmarket? Isn't there one in Newmarket?
Oh, maybe there's a new one. I mean,
it wasn't called an Apple store though, but it was like something else. But it was like purely Apple products.
Oh, I see. If it's an actual Apple store,
no, we don't. I don't think we have those.
No. I don't think we're too big enough yet.
No.
But if you think about it, if you've been to overseas, or you just think about how their business model has done in New Zealand, when you see Noel Leeming and stuff, you go in there, notice how they have kind of like a separation from all the other products, and then they've got like those walls, and then it's all like open. It's all like wood vinyl. Usually have a different floor because they're making a whole different experience, even within a store, of what makes Apple. And that's why it's all nice and bright. The colors aren't like in your face. There's an open space. The phones and stuff are all there. You can play around and stuff because they want you to have that experience. I mean, you can go really deep. Like they've got a point that every, I don't know how much they adhere it to in New Zealand, but the Apple stores, you have to have all the screens at a certain degree. And the reason why that is because, not because you can see it, it's because it's uncomfortable and you adjust it.
Yeah.
So that first, they know, I think it's about 43% more likely to purchase a product if you touch it before you buy it.
Yeah, I believe that, 100%.
Touch it, there's your 43%.
Because you're like, oh, that doesn't look right. And you're like, oh, let me look at the phone. Yeah.
Oh, colour comes on, gorgeous. Sounds mean. Oh, and then got ya.
Yeah. It's also the layout. So I know this is basic as like sort of just like how shop will work, but how they lay out, you know, what's at the front to what's at the back to what's at the different parts of the store. So when you walk around, because in New Zealand we stick to our left, and that is the shop. Most shops have been designed, and probably even more so those tech ones. It's like you walk in and automatically you go to the left, and they have all the things that they want you to see first on the left, whether it be new releases or like the new deals or something, and then the thing you actually want's all the way back there. But you need to go through all this first. And naturally, you don't even realize, because that's just how we are. I mean, I think if we're in like who drives on, like, if we're in like a European country, they drive on the right side of the road, naturally you'll be on the right. So they design it differently for how you walk. So everything is like completely calculated and well thought through in most shops, especially those Apple like tech shops and stuff. It's fucking intense, eh? But it makes sense.
I'm going to take it one step further.
Let's go.
Like we're going different levels of inception, mate, in the marketing world. But like, so that's the next phase of kind of shopping, right? Let's go even deeper. So let's make the whole shop empty.
Yeah.
But now when you walk in, it knows your name, it knows your likes, it knows everything about you. I mean, this is where there's a fine line between privacy and what you can give out and all this. But you go in, and it's like the whole shop is designed for you. Mm-hmm. And then it knows your problems. And, I mean, I'll just give the Apple example. And then it goes, oh, well, we've got an app on that. iPhone does it. Oh, man. Like, for a photographer, an example, right? I've bought into I tried to fight it for years, the whole Apple ecosystem cult. And I was like asking people like, oh, what's this thing about AirDrop? And it was more happened when like with my current partner, like I'd take photos of her and her family and like on different trips. And I'd be like, oh yeah, sick. Like I'd edit them and I'd have a MacBook because just great. And they're like, oh yeah, can you send it to me? I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll do a Dropbox or something. Like, why don't you just AirDrop it? What was that? Easy. And then I was like, I had my Samsung and I want an iPhone now because I was just like, I would do edits on my Samsung. I'm like, oh yeah, sweet, I'll just Bluetooth it to you. I know you can't do that, bro. Oh, really? And the pain is they're being so smart that everybody's got iPhones that I have to buy into it. I must admit, AirDrop's sick, but like you've got to buy into that cult. But it takes a problem that I have, which is
it solved the problem for you.
Files around easily, and done it. And so now, like I've got a Windows PC, but like laptop, I don't use it because it's just it's a nightmare, like to move everything around. But as soon as you have like an ecosystem like that, sussed.
Yeah, once you have something that works really efficient for you, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Like once that problem's been solved, it's like Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, for me, when I do things like, because I have a Mac and I have a PC and I have a Samsung phone, but I know, I don't know. Maybe it's like an old school thing. I just use Google Drive. I just go like,
you're not in the system. You're not deep enough.
Nah, I don't know if I want to be. That's the other thing.
It's a lot of money and it's a lot of controls. And Steve Jobs, although he's dead, he's still got.
He's still going.
He's
working from the grave.
He's still got you by the mail parts.
He does. He fucking does. Eh? What I'm curious, and I actually want to pick your brain on this. When did the subscription who started the subscription service like month per month? So remember like let's say like Adobe Premiere and like editing software, right?
Yep.
You could just buy that one purchase.
Yes.
When did that change? Because in my opinion, I think it was Spotify or these music streaming services that started this.
Yep.
Because I know all about that, but what I want to know is like, did everyone copy that, or was this already in motion to like have like a like, because to like your point of the cloud, you have everything like, you know, like let's say your Apple and you have all your, you know, Apple products that you're using, but you have to like pay for them monthly.
Yep.
So why do we now pay monthly for everything like that, whereas before it was a one purchase, like a one-off purchase? I mean, yes, it's more money. I'm not stupid. That's the reason. But how like have people been okay with that? That's what else I want to know.
And again, it goes all down to that psychology, right? Like when you think of it, there was still subscription based around. Like there was like when you think of what Netflix used to be, it used to be a subscription base where you'd pay monthly and they'd send out how many ever DVDs that you want.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So subscription based was there, but with the more digitalization of businesses, that kind of occurred more. That it was like, oh, sweet. And so it's kind of a catch-22 is that subscription based was because you could, from a business side, you knew for cash flow that you weren't just going to get some customer who would pay you $300 and then you'd never see them again unless they wanted an upgrade or whatever. But now I'm getting $20 with them every single month. So, like, instead of just
one off like $500.
that's it.
For like
they're
a
going to
piece of
keep.
software.
They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. You've got a
And then you end up
for life.
paying way more money than actually how much it costs. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
But that's what I saw straight away, and I really didn't like that.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if it was because of like streaming services and that, and then everyone else was like, "We can do this with software. We can do this with like Microsoft Office because they do that as well."
Yep.
And I was just like, "Fuck." I don't like that.
Yeah, no. And I would say Spotify is a big reason for a lot of things. Uber's another one as well.
Yeah,
it's that whole gig economy. And this came out,
you're right, yeah.
I would say about
14?
Yeah, about 2014.
I think that's when that started happening. Because the music industry, I know all about that. Because Spotify and those streaming services are a reaction to everybody just illegally downloading music.
Yep.
And people don't want to, like, oh, I spend $20 on a CD. And it's like, that's expensive when I can get it for free. And then people were like, well, I want to have somewhere where all my music is. And that's when it's like, well, you don't actually need to download and have heaps of space on your computer. You can just have like a Spotify playlist, which has all the music you need instead. I mean, yeah, it still takes up space, but I probably would say the files and that you would have if you're doing like loads of torrenting back in the day, or maybe you're still doing it. It takes up a lot of space.
You're exactly right.
So I think that that was interesting. Change. But then I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I understand that. And then just seeing everybody else kind of do that as well, like, oh, month per month, like, yeah, like, oh, you can buy this software. It was $500 for first purchase, but now it's like $30 per month.
That's it. But then also,
forever.
That's it. And when you think about it, though, right? Like, it's a lot easier to justify. Because if you're like, oh yeah, like Spotify, it's like $10 a month. Oh yeah, that's okay. But very rarely do people actually sit down and be like, right, let's calculate how much this is actually going to cost me.
Yeah, how much in a year?
Yeah, you just see $10 like, oh yeah, it's all like, because when you think of subscription based, the perfect example of it is a gym membership.
Yeah, gym membership.
Gym
100%.
membership makes money off people not going.
Yeah, well, they probably make them. Well, I don't know if that's true,
They
but
do.
I would imagine they make the most money off
They
people
do.
who don't go.
Yep, because
Yeah.
it's like sweet. So they don't have to pay for like the. I mean, inherently they're going to be paying for cleaning fees and all that stuff. Normally that's fixed costs. But any additional fees that they would have if you actually went to the gym are not there because you're just handing them money. But because it's a small amount, well, perceived small amount per month or per fortnight, so, some people, I'm very shocked. Just I'm still a gym member.
Yeah,
and they
don't.
They don't go, but then they don't even have like a little pass to go. They've lost it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why don't you just cancel it? They're like, oh, nah, yeah, I'll go. You don't, but you still pay
Yeah,
it. It's like,
and you
okay.
don't cancel it, but it's like that guilt as well because you want it. Yeah, that's another whole psychological.
That's
thing,
it, man,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, because you're tapping into that. Yeah, that's so buzzy. Yeah,
Yeah, man, it's the world of marketing. It's everywhere and anytime. But,
yeah. What's that? Instant. It's also the convenience and access to get straight away. Like we don't like waiting. We're probably in the most impatient times in regards to like I want it now. I want it right now.
oh yeah,
I'm not waiting. And even I'm like that. I would say I'm like that. You know, I come home and if I want to watch something on Netflix or something and it's not loading, I'm like, wow, it's not loading. It's like, give it a sec. Like, you know, Chromecasting and then loading up like a half an hour show. Whereas before it was like, yeah, get a DVD and like, you know, put it in the DVD player and then start playing it and then you have to like skip to the menu and then whatever, right? But now it's like we've cut that all out.
Yep.
Yeah. But now it's like such a short amount of time, but it's like, it's still not fast enough. So funny that,
you had to put on the videotape and
Yeah.
rewind.
That's the other thing, with the VHSs, you'd be rewinding.
Like, the damn Netflix
Yeah.
is like stuffed up.
And then I remember like rewinding it, and then like all the tape would come out because it hadn't been wound back. I was like, fucking hell, but like the black fucking tape comes out, and you're like rewinding it back.
With a pencil, like
Yeah.
it
Used
shows
to
our
do that.
age.
Yeah, it does a bit. But it's so funny, It's like now it's like, oh man, Chromecast is taking more than 5 seconds to load up. It's just so funny, Like we're just like boom.
Yep.
That's what we're in. And in marketing, you have to really be on that. Like
yeah.
it's all about giving people that instant access. And I mean, we do it as well. Like, and I look on a website, you know, for like clients that I have and the work that I do, and be like, this buyer journey needs to be completely redone. Because I work mainly in like the paid media space, Google ads and stuff, and like sometimes I'll go on like a website and I'll be like, you don't need paid advertising, you need web development. Your buyer journey, your CRO, conversion rate optimization, needs to be redone. SEO, like that needs a lot of work. We can you can pay as much money as you want on advertising. People, it's going to leave, you know,
That's
massive bounce rates, or throw out some marketing terms, you know, but you know, like that'll happen. So it's like, yeah, the buyer journey needs to be super easy, super smooth, and as transparent as possible, and you'll probably do pretty well. But obviously, what I just said is much easier said than done. But that's something that I find quite interesting as well. It's like you got to make things so easy and quick, and yeah, once again, psychology, like how the flow of a web page works, and like, you know, the product to the price to then the buy to then how easy it is to add the card, and like, Google Pay, it remembers all my details, or Apple Pay or something, right?
Yep.
It's all integrated. Social media shared, like you bought this or whatever, like it's just all there.
Yep.
Remember my details for next time.
Easy.
All that. Yeah.
It's one of those ones that like you're on the money, but also
I've missed stuff.
just from my experience, and this is kind of like really key to know, and this is what kind of, I would say, what differentiates a good marketer or anyone who's in business to someone who's great at it. And it's that the reality is you're dealing with people. AI is coming at the end of the day, and people are like, oh, jobs and all this. Like, at the end of the day, what is a job? It's the transfer of money for value. You've provided value.
Yeah.
So, although AI might do parts of it, there will still be a transition of value, and it's always a person who's doing it, who's getting the value. That's why you buy. And so, when you think about marketing and the customer journey, and it's all right. Look, if you optimized the website based on just SEO, you'd have a page, you'd have a top heading, you'd have the contact one. It'd be really boring.
Yeah,
But
because
it'd
you
be-
optimize purely only for like certain terms, and you've had I know what you're saying.
Like, great, but so my page is ranking, people are coming through, but it's serving no value. But it's always getting that fine balance between, look, at the end of the day, it's people who are going to be buying my stuff. It's like, I've worked with like lots of
Yeah,
traders.
Google's not buying your stuff.
Exactly. It's like the whole idea is you're working to not only make your product or your service as easy as it is for your customer and make it solve their problems. But to do so, it's as easy as possible. So that's kind of why subscription-based services, going back to that point, is so easy, because you just sign up, your credit card's all done, and then you don't even have to worry about it. I mean, unless you get an email saying, the payment didn't go through. You're like, oh, it's tight month this month.
Yeah.
But it's because it's so easy. Set and forget, easy. It's the whole journey. And it's one thing to think, like I was told years ago, and it's a really good example, is that when you get an iPhone, when you get Netflix, have you ever read a user manual for it?
I'm kind of boring because I sometimes read terms and conditions. I gotta know.
Okay. But generally, for things that you pick up, like it would be like, say, these cameras, like you can delve more if you really want to know the tech specs. But generally, when you pick up a phone or you pick up a laptop, you know that you press the button, it will turn on, and you can do the basic things that you need to without any instruction manual.
Yeah,
That's why these little kids can just be like jump on iPads and like go through YouTube. They're going down the deep dark web possibly because it's just so easy. There's no instruction manual, and that's one to think about. It's not like, I mean, that's not just business. It's just general life.
But people don't like to read those manuals or go through things. Who the fuck wants to do that?
For promotions.
I do it with things where I'm like, is there a catch? I do that all the time. If I think there's a catch, especially with anything subscription based, always I will like give me those terms and conditions, at least summarize it, or ChatGPT just like summarize, please. Because I want to know what I'm signing up for, or like my phone at the moment, like sign up for, like agree to the new terms and conditions. I'm like, I bet it's going to be some like privacy invasion bullshit. I just know, I just guarantee it's going to be something like that. So I'm like, I got to know what the catch is because there's always something.
Oh mate, you're a marketer's worst nightmare.
Yeah, I know.
Just hit okay and go with it.
Yeah, you know what's hilarious? This is how funny. I didn't know. So when I first went on like Google and I'd search something, I saw like search ads come up. I thought they were scams. I never clicked on them ever. I'm like, that's a scam, and I'd always scroll down and like, where's the actual website? Where's the legitimacy? So I used to think Google ads were scams for a while.
You can do them.
Yeah, I mean you can. It's hard, but you can do them. But I used in a marketing way, yeah. But then when I find something I really want, oh bro, I'm sucked in. Yeah, I'm sucked in. You can have me like that. I'm in your lap, being like
just here's my money. Take my money.
Take my money. I'm just jumping in. Yeah. So it's buzzy, eh? But yeah, what would you say is underrated to learn about so in your journey now, learning marketing to where you are now?
Yeah.
What would you say is something that you've learned along the way, which you've been like, this skill or this knowledge is not appreciated as much as it should be?
I got two of them for you.
Let's go.
And they're going to be, you would never have expected them. Number one, project management. Not so much that you can, do a systematic way, but it's more being able to take something big, complex, break it down into small parts, and more being able to prioritize what needs to be done first to get something complete. Hugely important, because what gives you credibility in this world is that you say something and then you get it done. It doesn't matter if you fail or not. You admit that. But because you actually said, I'm going to do this, I go ahead, people trust you because they might not like what you're going to do. But you still did it anyway. So they know that, oh, well, this person's predictable in that sense. And that's why people build your trust. That's why they go, okay, well, I'll promote him because if he says he's going to do this, he's going to work bloody hard to get that way. The second one, and I mean, it's a constant learning, and this is something that regardless of what you do, this is why you don't need a degree, essentially. I mean, some ones you do. But this is what will make you just a worker to someone who gets not only fulfilled in life from their job, but helps other people. And that's stakeholder management. I mean, that's a really technical term, but it's all about people skills. So if you can go to the sea, and look, over time, as I've gotten older, I mean, somehow I've developed a bit more anxiety. And so it's a little bit harder. You're kind of like not as keen to make friends or to talk to people. But when you think about when you're young, you're just like, yeah, come home, meet everybody. You need to keep that mentality that no matter who they are, what they are, they're just a person and you have great yarns. Sometimes you might think, oh, look, I've got shit banter. Like, for me, I'm not a sports person. Like, I can't tell you, besides how to do like a try in a rugby, how that kind of works.
In a rugby?
There you go, in a rugby.
In a rugby, yeah.
And I wouldn't even be able to tell you like any of the All Blacks now. Like, the last All Black I can tell you is like Richie McCaw, and that's...
Yeah.
But like...
Fair enough.
And
I think I know too. I'm not that good with rugby.
Yeah, but that's two more than I do. So, like, when you think about it, I was like, oh, you know, like, it's New Zealand's got a big culture about rugby. Like, people want to talk about it. But it's that stakeholder management, knowing that, like, they don't need to talk about rugby. You can talk about something completely different. Find that common ground. Some people might like to talk about, like, how we're talking about marketing. But some people might see marketing as just a job.
Yeah.
But there'll be other things that they're quite interested in.
And it could be catch their attention, right?
That's it. But then also, everybody's got different kind of priorities in life, and that affects how they work or how they engage. And it's knowing how to read another person and hop in their shoes and be like, this person is going to hate me if I do 3 meetings a week.
Yeah.
They're just like, they're going to hate it. And so if you know that one person, they love meetings, they love being able to talk and discuss and really get that, well, perfect. You can work to that. But generally, most people don't. So if you can be like, look, we're going to do this meeting, we're going to be real about it, we're going to just have some chats and go through. And I mean, that's when you're in a more of a management side, but even if it's just as a worker, the fact that you can go up and you can just have a general yarn with anyone in the business, like either online. One thing I did when I was 2 companies ago during lockdown, because I just thought it would be funny and it really benefited me, was I figured, well, everybody's at home in COVID, right? And everybody's just kind of bored, or like you're working, you're not kind of working. So I would just call random people
at random times
throughout
throughout the day.
business. Yeah. And then, like, because it was a global business, like, sometimes the timing would work, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give them a call.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, bro, how you doing? And they're like, how can I help you and stuff? And like, oh, look, if you give us spare time, which I know you do because we're in lockdown, what's going on? And then just, you're taking the time to see them more than just a person. Like,
yeah, it's not just a co-worker, it's not just like an employee, yeah.
That's it. And it's all about managing, like, not only on a personal level, but in a professional level, like, that's what makes you great, is that you don't have to be a manager to still be a leader. You find what they're good at, and then you work to really push that out of them. So if you know, say, Scotty, you're in marketing, but I know that you're really good with audio, you're good with podcasting. Well, I'm not going to get you to do analytics, mate. Like, because you're going to be like, you know, like, but I'm like, oh, sweet. He's going to get into content making. He can like do podcasts. He can do YouTube, like something that really gets him excited. So that even if you're doing the most boringest product, like toilet paper can be the best, sexiest thing.
Yeah.
Because you've got someone passionate about it. And that's all about stakeholder management is being able to be empathetic, understand them, and then play to their strengths. And that's kind of, I would say that's probably number one.
Stakeholder management and project management.
That's it.
That's working, bro.
Yeah, man. It's you probably thought I might have said something about marketing, but no, it's people skills.
Well, it's all about people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Marketing at the end of the day is all about people and how people operate, right?
And then you know, you like distracted them while pulling money out of their back pocket.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, are you the government?
Illuminati, mate. They're on to me.
Pretty much. Oh, sweet, bro. I think we might call it there.
Yeah,
that
man.
was fucking
Sounds good.
sick. Thanks for coming in, man. It was good
I
fun.
appreciate it, man. Cheers.